Welcome to the webinar. Hopefully you're in the right place. So we're going to be talking about 100% digital strategy. We'll pop on to the next slide just to do our intros. So I'll quickly introduce myself. I don't want to bore you with the whole history, but so I'm Sean Smith. I'm an accountant evangelist here at Sage. I'm an accountant by trade, but I haven't been in practice for about 10 years. In that 10 years, I've been working for various software companies in a sort of consultative capacity. On the road, working with accounting firms has been my kind of remit. So going out, helping them with digitization projects, digital change projects, whatever you want to call it, typically helping firms move from sort of desktop-based softwares over to the cloud, really, is what I've been doing, and everything that involves, which is quite a bit, as you'll imagine. But we're joined by Pamela Phillips. So Pamela, I'll let you introduce yourself.
So I'm Pam Phillips. I'm the owner of Jong Phillips. We're a small accounting business that works with agencies, and we deliver the full finance function to our clients. And I think one of the reasons I'm on this talk is because we're fully digital. So looking forward to talking through that now.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So that's intros done. I think everyone will probably have arrived by now. So we'll get stuck into the sort of main subject matter, will we, Pam?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, so starts off with your side. So I'm going to sort of defer over to you and just sort of, I guess, ask you to give us a little bit of insight into like the kind of your original kind of vision and mission, I suppose, and then like a little bit of the story of how you kind of got to where you are today, kind of idea.
Yeah, sure. So I think my background's slightly different to a lot of practice owners. I qualified as an accountant. Then I went to work in industry. I worked in investment banking in a finance function there, and then eventually in the business. And what I learned there was that each individual business within the bank had its own finance team that it partnered with and worked really closely with, not just on understanding the numbers, but on any future future-looking decisions, like whether they're going to make an acquisition or exit a business, what their budget they needed for the next year. So my team's role was to work to partner with them. And then when it came time for me to leave banking and make a move, I moved back into practice. And what I wanted to do was bring that kind of side of finance to small businesses, because I realized big businesses have this and they have the access to this, but small businesses often don't. And they certainly didn't back when I started Jong Phillips. So at that point, I knew I wanted to bring the finance function to small businesses, but actually doing it was tricky because the tech wasn't quite where we needed it to be at that point in time. So since then, we've been kind of sticking to that vision of delivering the full finance function, and the tech's now evolved, and we can actually do what we set out to do at the start.
Awesome, brilliant. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you're trying to deliver a kind of a function, I guess, that's kind of large scale, right? So it's almost like unscalable to do it in the small business world. So you had a sort of vision that was maybe ahead of exactly what you said there, where technology was.
Yeah.
So it's good that it's caught up then.
Yeah,
Definitely. You always wanted to.
Yeah, I think for a lot of accountants that want to be doing this stuff, this is an exciting time to be doing it, because 20 years ago, accountants in practice couldn't do what we're doing now. And I think it's what motivates a lot of accountants is really sitting alongside a business and helping them and supporting them grow. And I think now we're in a better position to be able to do that largely because of the tech.
Yeah, certainly from my point of view, almost that sounds like it would be more rewarding, right?
Yeah,
like more rewarding work. Yeah.
For me, sure, and for a lot of the people that come and work for us, that's why they want to work for us, is because they're more hands-on with clients and helping them problem solve. It's not for every accountant, but there's definitely a set of accountants that this is what they want to be doing.
Yeah. There's different types of people, I guess, right? I always talk about like there's going to be future accountants and future advisors. And there are two different types of personality profile now. I think really you've got that kind of customer focus, sort of in front of the customer, dealing with that kind of like what real-time information, I suppose, allows you to do, which is like what you're talking about, helping the business.
Yeah.
Of course, there's still a place, and we're never going to get away from a place where you need the numbers to kind of back up those conversations, and you need like expertise and specialisms in like specific tax areas and stuff like that, right? So there's like two paths almost now, whereas maybe there wasn't before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've seen that with our recruitment when we're recruiting, we've kind of learned over the years who we need to be recruiting for this specific role. And that's not to say, I mean, there absolutely is a role still for really technical accountants that have real technical skills.
Yeah.
It's also a role for sort of client-facing people who enjoy building up the relationship and being sort of the right-hand person to a business owner. And it isn't impossible to have people that can do both, but
Yeah.
it's a special person that can do both.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. And I think actually that leads us quite well into a little poll that we've got. So we're wanting to just kind of ask, I suppose, based on what we were saying there, like, are you using your tech stack to its kind of fullest potential? And we've got three answers there. So three kind of areas. So do you think that you're doing a good job? Do you think that you could be doing it better? And we're not where we want to be as a farmer. Your three options there. Seeing here, hosts and panelists can't vote, so we're excluded from this one.
I was just trying to vote there.
We'll give them a couple of minutes, will we, to answer that. Where do you think we're going to get the majority of people? We'll do a bit of a guessing game here while we wait, will we?
Yeah, it was interesting. So before we started, I was thinking, this is a typically really busy time of year for accountants, right
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
January. So I wonder if that's gonna the people that have got the time to join this call. I wonder if that says something about how digital they are.
Ah, yeah.
We'll see.
Fine. Yeah, yeah. Let the clock run down. I'll prep you, Pam. We're gonna be talking about your app stack next.
Okay.
So have a little think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. Looks like it's finito. Oh, there you go.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I think that's good. So could do better, and we're not using it as well. So a good audience then to pick your brain then, Pam, because obviously you've gone down this road a bit. Let's argue and say that you are doing a good job. But of course, you probably weren't doing a good job the whole time. You've probably learned along the way, right? So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um,
awesome. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for contributing there. And we'll move on to the next slide. So this one, as I kind of prepped you, Pam, so we're going to talk a little bit, or I'm going to ask you questions about like the app stack, I suppose, that you use and how, because obviously you guys are fully digital. So I want to kind of just understand a little bit
mhm.
about how you got there. So
Yeah.
I'll start with, so like in what ways has like leveraging technology allowed your team to focus more on profitable profitable business activities, things that kind of work really well for you guys?
I think so. Using tech has enabled that in more than one way. So, at a really basic level, by throwing ourselves into using tech, we've freed up time in the team. Things take a lot less time to do. So, I remember when I started in practice and we used to do bookkeeping for a client, and that job used to take about 5 days to do a quarter's worth of bookkeeping, 5 days
Yeah,
solid. And that then dropped, once we got all the tech in place, and once the tech sort of came, evolved and could
caught up
do
with you
this job
guys.
for us, we could do that 5 day job in a few hours. Like it was like phenomenally. So that's at the basic level, it frees up time. And that's so important nowadays for the one is it allows you to step into doing other work for your clients that they
Yeah.
are trying out for. But also when it's like at the moment, I think it's like most people are finding it's hard to recruit. So anything you can do to free up
Mm.
time and take pressure off your team is really useful. So yeah, so
Mm.
using tech enabled us to free up time. And I think the two tools on this dashboard, and actually I was quite surprised to see how many tools we're using because in my head
Yeah.
we used that many, but then when I sort of put them down, I was like, oh yeah, there's quite a lot there. And
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
this has evolved. We didn't start out with this many. We started out with one and then we bolted on
Yeah.
one at a time. But the sort of the first two that really made an impact were using like cloud accounting software. So we use Zero, and then
Yeah.
adding on Dext can't remember which one it is, Dext Prepare. So they build
Prepare. So that's like their old receipt bank, isn't it?
yeah.
That became Dex Prepare. Yeah. Yeah. So like the data capture piece.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
two of those made a massive difference to free up time. But the other thing they did is it by being and having the cloud data in the cloud, it means that we're looking at the same data that our clients are looking at the same time. Before that, and some people that have joined accounting later than I did won't remember the days when your client would have a file of data, or maybe even like a folder, paperwork.
Mm.
They would have that, and at some point they'd hand it over to you so you could do the accounts or the VAT return. So they'd like stop processing stuff in their system, hand you over a file. You'd then do your magic, then you'd send the file back to them, but there'd be a period of time, maybe like a week in between, where time's moved on and transactions have moved on. So you've got a bit of a headache trying to make sure the two data files are in line and which one's
Yeah.
now one you pick up. So it's just a headache that doesn't exist when everything's in the cloud. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, you've got, and this is even more valuable really, is when a client is trying to make a decision or got a question, you can jump in and look at exactly what they're looking at as if you were sitting by their side. If you were in the same office as them, you'd come over and look at their screen. You can do that if you've got data in the cloud.
Yeah.
So that meant we were talking to clients a lot more and we were able to support them a lot more with simple stuff to start with. So to start with, a lot of the conversations we were having around how do I enter this transaction? How do I do this, that, or the other in the software? And we were able to jump on a Zoom or record a little video and say, this is how you do it. So they had
Mm-hmm.
live support. But then that evolved because now they were talking to us more often. That evolved into, oh, by the way, I'm thinking of doing this. What are your thoughts? And we could look at the data and go, well, actually this or that, or here's an idea. So we're stepping into doing more advisory work. And I
Mm.
think for
And
us initially,
is that purely just off the back of you're having more conversations so naturally?
mhm.
Well, maybe it's not that you're running out of things to talk about, but naturally, as you speak more and more with someone, more things come out, don't they? So then they're like, oh, just while we're waiting for this page to load, I was thinking of doing this. So it's all kind
100%.
of organic, right?
Yeah, 100%. It just evolved, I think, and you just have to trust that the more conversations you have with your clients, the more that will evolve. And that's
Yeah.
not to say you force conversations that they don't want to have, but there
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
conversations that they do want to have and they will get value off. And if you can build that relationship, and think of how many times someone sends you an email, they go, oh, whilst I've got you, or I'll just
Yeah.
ask you this. That's how these doors open. So I think to start with, we knew it was good to be having the conversations. We trusted that it would open the doors to the type of work we wanted to be doing.
Mm.
We weren't charging for that extra support
Okay.
initially.
Yeah,
Um,
that's interesting.
and that was two, like one is we just didn't know how. And we hadn't really processed that this was a value that we were giving and that we could be charging for. So that was one reason. But the other was we wanted to focus on building the relationship and we kind of it
Yeah.
was an investment in our time to build the relationship and trust that the work that it would pay off in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I suppose like tech enabled us to have more conversations, do work faster, open up the door to doing more added value work.
Yeah.
And then the next level of tech is, when we started moving into using things like, I'm going to say, just looking at my screen, using things
Talk us through the board.
like Float or Chaser. Oh, is Chaser?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chaser's on there.
Is there? Yeah.
Sift. All those tools were
Brilliant.
tools that actually enabled us to deliver an extra service to a client that they wanted.
Okay.
So Telaroo, we use that to make payments on behalf of our clients. So
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's not advisory, it's operational, but it's taken away a pain point from the clients. It's freeing up their time,
Yeah.
which they value. It's
Yes,
also,
it's an additional service, right? It's something you can do.
yeah, it's an
And I
additional
guess what,
service.
oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
carry on.
I was going to say, I guess what's interesting about that is that next level, your chasers, floats, sifts, Telaroo that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't have done that if you didn't have the core product. So we're talking about your bookkeeping solution Zero and then your
Yes.
data capture Dext.
Yeah.
Once you had those, you could then use this next layer that you're talking about, but you couldn't have just used that initially.
No.
It's interesting. It kind of develops, it kind of grows arms and legs or builds up steam, doesn't it?
And it's definitely how we've done it. It has grown consciously. It's grown, but there's like one key thing I suppose I haven't mentioned that is key to all of these things working is the bookkeeping. Your bookkeeping has to be on point. It has to be up to date, accurate, or else everything falls apart. And particularly if you're moving into something like making payments for clients or chasing debtors for them, if your bookkeeping's not up to date and then you start chasing their clients and well, we've already paid, or
Yeah.
you've mismatched payments to receipts and then you go and try and pay a supplier twice, that's not a good position to be in. So you have to really nail your bookkeeping process first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. The
So
last thing you want to be doing is chasing people that have already paid and stuff like that for your clients. Yeah.
yeah, that's not going to go down well. So having like the tech but pieced together with really strong processes and well
Mhm.
controlled processes is really important. But yeah, once you've got that, it's the core to like tapping into all these other services. And it's like we didn't come from the angle like what more could we sell our clients?
Mm.
Because we were having conversations with our clients, we knew what their pain points were. We knew they were super busy, didn't have time, that they were finding doing payment runs frustrating because sometimes, quite often, actually, for the smaller clients that we've got or small businesses that we work for, the
Yeah.
most senior person in the business is the one sitting there making payments at the end of the month because
Yeah.
they, it's sensitive. Not many people have access to the bank, or if it's payroll, they don't
Yeah.
want other people in the team to have access. So someone that could be going out and doing something like really that'll move their business forward, or even just having some time off. They were sitting there doing payment runs, so we could hear what they were saying, and then sort of step in and go like, that's something they need our help with. So it helped. It kind of what we were offering evolved based on the conversations we were having. So we, like I said at the start, we only work with agencies, so we are able to be really focused on what their needs are. A different
Yeah.
industry might have different priorities and different bits of software that you want to look at first, or different problems that need solving first. But for our clients, these were the pain points that they wanted help with first.
Yeah. I suppose that's always useful, isn't it? Like if you guys have like a niche, you can be quite laser focused in what you do. I
Yeah,
think what's quite interesting about what you're saying there is you didn't go into it thinking, oh, let's take this on because that would be a good service to offer. It's almost like you were just meeting clients more often, more regularly. And then based on like what they were asking for, you realized, oh, these are services that they want.
yeah,
It was almost like they told you what you should be offering. Almost
definitely,
like reverse
definitely.
engineering it, isn't it?
Yeah. And you could feel it. I felt like we were always trying to catch up with what they needed. So I could feel sort of the boundaries of what we were able to deliver. So thinking about, we work with like we work with Capitalize to get financing to help our clients access
Oh yeah.
financing. And up until the point we started working with them, we would be having conversations with the clients around, right, they've got cash flow struggles. What can they do to improve, get cash in the door faster? Obviously, that then led us to realize that Chaser was going to be a really useful tool for them because it's going to help them get their debtors to pay faster. So we could do that for them. We could also do cash flow forecasting. So we use Float, and that'll help them with their cash position. But there would be this point when we would have to hand over to someone else and go, right, we've done as much as we can. We can see that you need some funding. Go and speak to your bank.
Yeah.
And so every time we came to that kind of edge of what we were able to do, we could think, well, is this something we should be able to do? And if it is, who can we partner with to do it?
Yeah.
So yeah, the apps and businesses growing up around the accounting space has really helped us offer our clients this full package of what they either knew they needed or maybe didn't know they need.
Yeah. Cool. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because you look at when we initially threw this slide up, you said, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize we had so many apps." But
Yeah.
I guess you didn't initially. This has
Yeah.
grown, like you said, it's grown over time, and so it wasn't like you went out and grabbed 20 apps and implemented them because that would be madness, I think.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how it's grown and grown for you guys.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
kind of like, yeah, so it grew out with the core ones, which are, say the Zero and the Dex Repair are quite core. Now management accounts is really core to a lot of our clients. So then we moved into like Sift, or we originally used Futurely and then we used
Yeah.
Sift. Um, so yeah, it kind of evolved and grew out for sure. And then there's some on here that are not client facing, they're internal and things that we
Yeah.
use to help ourselves run more efficiently. So say Slack and G
Yeah. So
Suite, ShareFile, they're all
talk
internal
us
tools.
on. So I was going to say, yeah, talk us through those then. So What are those tools, and then how do they kind of help you streamline, like you're saying there?
Yeah, so I'll start with say Slack. We're a fully remote team, and one thing that means is we don't have those sort of face-to-face conversations. Like if you were in an office, you bump into someone, you could have a quick conversation. We have to work quite hard to make sure that those conversations still happen. And Slack is something that we use for that, for those quick conversations and
Yeah.
about clients or internal stuff.
So I guess
ShareFile,
that kind of, you've almost got to like artificially create the water cooler chat, haven't you?
yeah,
And
yeah,
certainly in the businesses I've worked for, that's something we've had to focus on as well. And we use Slack for that.
yeah. It does help. It's
Yeah,
that Slack and Zoom and Loom are all good tools for kind of helping with that.
yeah,
And then Carbon, we took that on as a workflow tool, like to manage our, to make sure we didn't miss deadlines, compliance deadlines really, but it
yeah.
evolved into more. So now we it's a communications tool as well. So because it's got email feeding into it, we don't use our emails, we use the triage in Carbon, which means that client communications are more transparent across a team,
Nice. Yeah, that's good. So
which is
like if
really
you've got different team members working on the same file, for example, or someone's off, is that what you're meaning? It's all
it's just visible. So say if we're working on, I don't know, we've had a meeting with a client and there's an email sent off the back of that to the client with some actions, that email will be visible to the people in that team that have
okay, yeah.
that been working that need to know. So it's really easy to make sure, because I think that's quite a challenge when you're working in a business like ours, where lots of conversations are happening all the time. There's lots of information getting
Mhm.
shared between the team and between clients. Is how you capture that and make sure it doesn't get lost and it's shared with the right people and quickly enough.
Yeah,
And especially when you're doing all the different services that we do, whoever's doing the bookkeeping is going to have information in their head and have had conversations that's going to be relevant to whoever's doing the pay runs or the management accounts. So we have to work really hard to make sure that information is shared across the team and nothing's dropped.
yeah.
We're not asking the client the same thing twice. We're not missing a deadline. So Carbon is really useful for that.
Awesome. Cool.
Which other ones? Harvest we use to track time.
Okay.
We have where we can, we try and use the same tech that we recommend to our clients.
Okay,
So
nice.
Harvest is really commonly used in agencies to track time and measure how profitable projects are. So
So
it
they
makes,
recommended that to you.
yeah, we could see that quite a lot of our clients were using it. And when we started using that, there wasn't really much in the accounting space that would better it. I think things
Mhm.
have moved on, and that's definitely the one with probably a question mark on it now because things have
Okay.
moved on a long way since we started using that. But we felt that by using the same tech that our clients are using where we can, then we
Yeah.
really know the product and we can know its limitations and its workarounds. And we can also talk about like conversations we'll have with clients, so not just on how to use Harvest, but how to get your team engaged in using it, how you should be pulling data out of it and reporting on it, what actions can you take off the back of the reporting, so like in the real world, how you use it. And because we use it ourselves, we have the same challenges and the same,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same issues that any business owner will have. So it helps us relate and we can learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I guess that's like a byproduct of just communicating more and more. That
Yeah,
initial point that we said, right? So there was more communications, and suddenly there's a lot more sharing of information, pain points, sort of collaborating to solve problems.
yeah,
Sounds like good stuff, doesn't it?
yeah,
Okay, so the only one we've not talked about on the board is Go Proposal.
yeah.
So I want to
So
ask you a little bit about that because obviously you guys use Go Proposal. So I mean, really, sort of the simple question is why?
yeah. Okay, so it's interesting because we started using Go Proposal quite a few years ago, and we've what we signed up for it for is not why we really value it now. So at the time, we
Interesting.
were trying to basically create engagement letters for our clients, and we originally were doing it manually. Then we signed up for a product that was desk-based, quite clunky, quite very clunky. And just sending out engagement letters we felt like it was a compliance thing we had to do. They had to be up to date. They had to be, the latest engagement letters for our institute. So it's very
Yeah.
much a compliance-led reason why we signed up for Go Proposal, because the tool we were using was too clunky, too slow, and it wasn't doing the job. So then someone recommended Go Proposal. And yeah, obviously it does engagement letters, which is fantastic, and it does them quickly and easily.
Yeah.
which has been brilliant. But actually, the real value I think we've got from using Go Proposal is it's really helped us understand what we're selling and price for what we're selling appropriately. So like I was saying at the very beginning, when we started having more and more conversations with clients, we weren't charging for that. We weren't
Yes, of
bringing
course,
them
right.
value, but
Yeah.
we weren't pricing for it. I mean, even to the extent that when we initially would be quoting for a client to prepare a set of annual accounts, we didn't like clearly define, well, where does a set of accounts starts and ends? Because
Yeah.
before you can prepare a set of accounts, you've got to do a year's worth of bookkeeping. And then you've got to make sure the data's accurate. Then you prepare the accounts and you do the corporation tax. You maybe have a meeting with the client. You might even throw in some tax advice, tax planning advice to what can they do
Mm.
next year to reduce their tax. So there's a whole load of things you're offering there. And we hadn't actually taken the time to go, well, what are we charging for and what's the right price for that?
Yeah.
And Go Proposal is so that the combination of the way it's structured and also the support and training around it just opened my eyes to breaking down our services into the component parts and
So
then
it's,
charging for them.
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So it's almost like you're obviously you're doing all this stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost like not conscious to the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah,
But when you're saying, oh, like we're charging for accounts, your brain probably just defaults to like, well, accounts takes us X amount of time, so we'll charge for that. But you're completely forgetting that there's tons of feeder things feeding into that over
yeah,
an entire year in order for us to get that kind of solution out the door.
yeah,
It's just
definitely.
maybe just shine a light on that, and then you were like, oh, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
It helped us structure our thinking around what we were offering and the value of that. So, even
Um,
like I was saying that at the end of a set of accounts, you probably have there will be some things that you think, right, you as a client, you can do this, and this differently next year, or here's some opportunities to save tax or to get more cash in the door or X, Y, and Z. All of that
yeah,
was given for free. Uh,
yeah,
and some clients would really value it, some were not bothered. So it helped clients like filter out the stuff they wanted to pay for from what they didn't want to pay for. And it helped us make sure we were charging for what we were doing and not over servicing. And also,
yeah.
I suppose not under servicing. It brought in consistency.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, like it changed it entirely. It also made selling a lot easier. They had a price like talking about prices was like
it's
me. I
horrible, isn't it?
hated it.
Yeah.
It was the worst bit of the job. I do all the work, and I'd rather not have a conversation about fees and do it for free than have to have that conversation. This made it
Horrible.
so much easier because it's on a screen. It's formulaic, so you really like. It's really easy to point to this is the number the system's generated. This is a fair price. This is what we charge everyone,
Yeah,
and then the clients can pick and choose which bits to take out or not take out, and yeah, it's so much easier to have those conversations.
it definitely is, isn't it? Especially, I think everyone gets awkward about those things, don't they? So the more you can, I don't know, have an agenda or like a way to talk about it, it helps remove that kind of like natural anxiety that everybody has
Yeah.
for those conversations. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
So,
proposal has been really that has had a big impact on our business for sure.
and it's interesting that it wasn't what you initially thought it was going to do for you. I think that's
Yeah,
quite an interesting piece.
yeah, massively different. Yeah, it does the engagement letters, but that's a small part of what it does. It was the
Yeah.
structure and the thinking it really helped with.
Yeah. Yeah. So it feels like to me the thinking has been quite important.
Yeah,
Guys, like that shift in kind of mentality, I suppose, has actually been the biggest piece.
yeah, massive. And then obviously then the knock-on benefit, the real tangible benefit is we're billing our clients more because all this
Mm.
stuff that we were doing for free is now getting charged for.
Yes.
Um, And it also helped us structure around, when I was talking earlier about the different services we want to move into, we were able to clearly identify them as a service
Yeah.
rather than just being like an extension of doing a set of accounts. So we're billing for more work. We're actually billing more for the work we are doing as well.
Hmm.
So it's had an impact on our bottom line,
Yeah, absolutely.
our profitability.
And of course, your clients are still taking up the service, so it's not like you're billing more and they don't feel that they're getting the value. Like
Yeah.
I guess anecdotally, how have those conversations been? Has it been a sort of, oh, that's more than I thought it was going to cost, or has it been sort of, oh yeah, we want more, or how have those conversations kind of changed?
Yeah, so we like it was a few years, well, quite a few years ago that we went through this process, and it was definitely that was quite daunting. You know, when we modeled out the prices that we should be charging, and then realizing we were not charging anything near that for many of our existing clients. We
Yeah.
went through and I think people tackle this in different ways. Like I'm not a super risky person, but I'm not too unrisky either. So I went for middle ground, which was we had I think a 2-year plan to go through all our clients and kind of exit. We actually had a strategy to exit a bunch of clients that we knew that we
Okay.
thought highly likely wouldn't didn't need the services we were planning to be offering, wouldn't value them, wouldn't pay for them. So actually there's a bunch that we exited ourselves. Then we repriced everyone, but we did it in tranches.
All
So
right.
we
So you kind
tackled
of broke it down. Yeah.
Yeah, we tackled the most problematic ones first, the ones that really had to be addressed first.
Okay.
And every client had a call. We don't have, again, we're a niche firm, so we don't have thousands of clients.
Okay.
Like I think like about 100, 150 clients I think we had at the time. Every client got a phone call with a proposal
Yeah.
and talked through what was changing, what was changing. We had some kind of like guide bullet points that we could flag, you know, because obviously a lot of them pushed back and said, oh, this is a lot more expensive than it was. So we had our kind of scripted, this is why. And basically we've
Yeah.
been undercharging until now. We've got to correct for that. We did, for the clients that we were really keen not to lose, we did a bit of a phased approach. We didn't actually tell them that. I think some people would have told them that at the time. We were figuring it out as we went. So
Yeah.
we run a price through Go proposal, see that it was 4 times more than what they were paying. So we would have a phase. So we'd like double what they were paying, knowing that there'd be
Be
a kind of
increased over. Oh,
staggered
okay.
increase over the next few years.
Yeah, of course.
Um, I think like the thing that I was most worried about these conversations was just like clients being rude or upset or cross with us.
Yeah.
That didn't
It's the
happen for
human
anyone.
side of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen. No one was rude. No one was cross. No one, like some people were surprised. So there was no, like the conversations were fine. They were awkward sometimes, but fine. And then no one left immediately. Some people did leave.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an immediate dropping off. It'd be when we'd, you know, maybe within the next year, the people that uh, felt the price was too, it got up too much, then they would drop off within a year. But we
Yeah.
really didn't lose many clients, and the ones we did were the ones that we knew they were already earmarked to go. We already
Oh,
knew.
so
We
so
already
the
knew
ones
they were
that
going to go.
so the ones that left were on your list of ones that you kind of
Yeah.
the irony.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's something I've learned is if we're not feeling it's working, it's probably mutual.
Yeah.
If you're feeling a relationship's not working as it should, like we're like if the client feels that they're paying too much, it's because they're not valuing what we're doing. If we're feeling that unvalued or we're not enjoying the work we're doing,
Yeah.
or you know, it works both ways. So there wasn't any surprises. Um, Overall, like most people that go through this process, but we found that our revenue went up and our client numbers went down. Our client numbers went down a small amount and our revenue went up quite a bit.
Right. Okay.
And at the same time as doing that over a staggered kind of time, we all new clients immediately went onto the new pricing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we
So
knew
yeah.
like straight away, any new clients come on board, it was just going to be easier because they were starting at the right price. So there was no issues there. And I think the more calls we did with new clients who were happy with the new price gave us confidence in having more conversations with our existing ones. Like we
Yeah.
knew like you know, the
Yeah. It kind
market,
of
it was,
validated your thinking, right? And your
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, so we did that, and for us it worked well because it meant that the ones that we lost gradually. So we
Yes.
didn't have a big like cash flow issue or a big, you know, gap where suddenly we lost a whole bunch of clients and we had the team sitting around with nothing to do. It happened very gradually, and I'd say you know, over 2 years we worked our way through that, and we're out the other side now. But I won't pretend it was easy. It was time consuming. It
Yeah.
was took courage. But the more calls that you do, the easier they get.
Confidence you build. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, right. So brilliant. Let's have a look at. So we want to talk about, I guess, kind of why we're here. So this 100% digital, and then we've added to this slide 100% human, which we chatted about a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? That
Yeah.
there's kind of like this myth, I suppose, that we want to bust, that if you go 100% digital, I guess the common thinking is, oh well, you're super digital, so you don't speak to your clients anymore or whatever. And we've touched on this already today. And
Yeah.
your argument, which you'd said to me before, is that actually you're arguably more human because of the
Mhm.
fact that you're 100% digital.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely.
sorry, on you go.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely, because it comes back to, well, to start with time. By being digital, it
Mm.
creates time so you can have conversations and you can pick up the phone to clients. But when you're head down, just churning through data and fixing data,
Mm.
if it takes you 5 days to do a VAT return and now it takes you 2 hours, what are you going to do with the rest of the week? Well, a good chunk of that will be having conversations, hopefully, with clients.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely. And also you've got more to engage with because you can actually see how their business is doing. So you can engage with your clients
yeah,
right now with what they're going through right now,
yeah.
rather than, you know, several months down the line when they've been through it themselves and your insight is kind of too late.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Um, so one question I want to kind of ask is, as I guess maybe how do you like balance the fact that you're using technology um with that human touch? So how do you kind of balance the technology and the human touch to deliver the services that you're kind of delivering at the moment?
Yeah. So I think this is something we have to think about quite a lot and work at and keep like reminding the team like how important it is to connect with their clients. So what we aim to do is clients to have regular meetings with us.
Okay,
So
yeah,
for a lot of them will be having management accounts or cash flow forecasts a monthly or even bi-monthly. So those checkpoints are already in the calendar. So we've got a good hour or 2 hours every month talking to the clients about their business. And
okay,
we make sure those meetings have agendas that are forward looking. So not just rear looking, they're forward looking. So we're structured, we've booked in time for conversations.
yeah,
Um,
that's yeah,
so that's super important. And every conversation will come away with more insights about their business. We'll understand them better.
yeah,
We should have built up some rapport as well. We also do like we encourage the team, so the people doing the bookkeeping or the payment runs to pick up the phone to the clients and actually not just always do it by email. So
yeah,
there's even, even though the systems are working perfectly, there's still going to be like we're having to speak to our clients a lot more. If we were just doing a VAT return once a quarter, and we weren't live and active in the business, we would probably be speaking to them once a quarter. Whereas because we're doing the bookkeeping every week and we're making payment runs, we have to be speaking to them
yeah, yeah.
often, and doing that by picking up the phone or sending in a WhatsApp or dropping an email, just that connection. Again, they're all opportunities to stay
Interesting.
connected and get to know the client and for them to get to know us.
Yeah.
The
So,
little things that we do as well. So like we try and record looms if a phone call's not going to work or it's just the client's busy, recording loom videos with our face on the screen to just remind our clients that we're people behind the email
you've got
address.
faces, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is just me, but I think on all the apps that we use, you can usually upload a photo. So again, just doing that on your email and on your Loom and on your, all these tools that we're using. If we've got a photo on there, it just is another little reminder that we're a person behind the computer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, brilliant. So it sounds then that you've implemented sort of like diarized like
Mhm.
frequency of contact. So there's like a process or a structure kind of there.
Yeah,
And also sounds like you're saying just as a sort of maybe like a mantra or a kind of like suggestion is that pick up the phone rather than send an email or try and use a Loom video or something like that. So it's almost like a sort of part of your ethos to reach out to people in a different way or speak to
yeah,
them more
it,
often.
it is. And one of the things that so the clients that are working with us and the ones that we want to work with is because they're looking for a finance function. They're looking for an actual finance team that is
Yeah.
their team. So they want to know who their team is. They want to have the same, like a stable team that knows them, their business, knows them. And so I think all of that is connected. So it's really important that we do that so that they genuinely that they've got the same relationship as if we were in their office, the finance person in their office, that they know they can go and speak to, Ella, and she's the bookkeeper. This is who they're gonna like chat to about this, that, and the other. We want them to have that relationship with us, so that works really well for us.
Absolutely. I guess kind of based on that, then I want to maybe ask: are there any like specific tips or insights that you've had from your implementation of this, that you could maybe share with firms that were looking to do a similar kind of approach?
Specifically with Go Proposal or generally with being
Why
digital?
don't we do one of each?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
or something like that.
I
Yeah.
think, okay, so going generally with going being digital,
Yeah.
my advice would be, I think it worked kind of well the way we did it, which was pick the core, first your core platform. For us, we picked one and we've stuck with it so that we just know it inside out. So
Yeah.
pick your core platform and then look around what's the next thing that's causing you pain? Like, and always look for what's the thing that's either causing you the most pain or could bring your clients most value, and do
Yeah.
it kind of linear. Choose one thing at a time. For us, trying to jump into too many new bits of tech at the same time would have like it's time. It takes time to find the right software, to learn it, to implement it. It's a
Yeah.
process. So trying to jump into too many at the same time is would have
Much.
been too much of a challenge for us. So I would say pick one, nail it, then move on to the next one. And the whole time listen to either your team's pain points or your client's pain points and use that to steer you to what you need to do next.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And then Go Proposal, I think again, I think what we did worked well for us. I think some people would have felt more comfortable just jumping all in one go and repressing all clients in the same like couple of months and just
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
the way. That would work for some people, and equally doing it over a couple of years is going to work for others. But I think going all in with Go Proposal is really important. Spend the time thinking. Actually, I was going to say spend the time thinking around what you're actually offering your clients. But to be honest, Go Proposal does that. Like, it does a lot of that work for you.
Yeah.
So if you start using Go Proposal, it's got like ideas for how you can price your products already
Yeah.
set up. So that's a really good starting point if you want to take a step towards like repricing what you do and
Yeah.
automating it without spending months and months figuring out every little detail.
Yeah. Well, it helps to give you that structure to think. It's like a
Mm.
structured way of thinking about that particular problem, isn't it? So it almost like takes you on that journey where you're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good framework. And
Yeah.
I suppose the other thing I'd say is don't be scared about changing. Like if you put your prices in Go Proposal and you start pitching and using those, if a few months later you realize you've massively underpriced or overpriced, just keep tweaking it. That's what we do. We just tweak it and learn and tweak it and learn. And when we put in prices, that's not forever. It's not even for a year.
Yeah.
It's for until we realize it needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. In like design sprints that we do within our business, we call it quick and dirty. So
Uh-huh.
like, you make a decision, you roll with it. If in like 2 weeks you realize that's not working or whatever, then you can change it. But at least you're on that. You've already made one mistake, so you're on to the next improvement, aren't you?
Yeah, at least you're moving.
Yeah, exactly. At least you're moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, on that, is there anything that any kind of challenges? I don't want to just ask you like, oh, what were your challenges? But so was there any challenges that you didn't see coming? So any kind of like unexpected ones that you were like, oh, I just never thought that that would be a thing, and then it ended up
Mm.
challenge maybe.
Um, I suppose like just broadly being digital, one sort of luxury we had when we were starting out on the digital journey was we were super agile. If you're starting with nothing, you
Yeah,
can adopt tech fast. You don't have to go around getting buy-in from anyone, you just do it. And I suppose as we've got a bit bigger, we're not big, but as we have got bigger, there's just more people to think about. There's more embedded
yeah,
systems in place. So I suppose if you're just starting on this journey, embrace it and enjoy how agile you are and how quickly you can make decisions and implement software. We're now at a point where we can see our screen with all those different apps on the screen. We're at a point where now if we change one out, we have to think through how it's going to affect all the other apps that we're using.
yeah,
Who in the team is going to need to be trained on it? What impact's it going to have on clients, if any? And how is it going to impact some of the processes that we've built? So
yeah,
it's a bit more projecty rather than I like that, we need it, we'll implement it. So
yeah.
is that learning? It,
I guess it is, isn't it? It's like a spider's web, right? So like, because now you've got lots of different things which you didn't have before. There's all these knock-on effects that maybe didn't exist before. So yeah, that's snuck up on you a little bit.
And actually, yeah, on that, what would I do if I was doing it differently now? I would, and everyone says this, and it's so true. I would make sure my processes were all clearly documented. Like you work out the best process,
Yeah,
document it, and include in that the software that you're using and how they link. Because I think if you start off doing that at the start, it's easier
yeah,
to keep up to date. Whereas tackling it now for us, it's something we're going through. We've got playbooks and processes written out, but trying to keep them up to date and filling in the gaps when it's one big interrelated kind of operating system is a harder
yeah,
job. So yeah, if I was starting off now, I would take the time to document those processes. It doesn't have to be like a week's work. It can be a 2 hour brainstorm with the person doing the process and just get it documented
yeah.
and keep on top of
And
that.
then it's there, right? So then you're just maintaining it from
Yeah,
that point, or adjusting it as you learn as well.
yeah,
Okay, awesome. So I want to talk a little bit. What time are we on? We've still got 13 minutes. So I want to talk a little bit about like why um digital. So we're like why digital first?
yeah,
So like being joined up in your offering in your services. So I guess this is kind of tying together what we've
yeah,
chatted about, isn't it? So why, I guess on this slide we want to talk a little bit about why digital first has been. We've heard, I suppose, why digital first is so powerful for you guys.
yeah. I
Um,
think yeah,
sorry, on you
something
go.
I didn't when we were talking before, something I didn't really think about is why is it so important for our team. So the other big
Mhm.
benefit of being digital first is we're a fully remote team. We couldn't be if we weren't digital first.
Yeah,
And I don't know about other people, but finding the right people to work in our team is harder than finding the right clients. So
yeah,
we want to attract people, like we want to do everything we can to attract good people to work with us.
yeah,
And being fully digital means that people can work from anywhere, which is like hugely valuable to a lot of people.
yeah,
That makes the what wet the means we can cast our net wider when we're
yeah.
recruiting.
Good
But it
analogy.
also
Yeah.
means the work we're doing is more like it's going to appeal to a certain type of person,
Mhm.
someone that wants to be out there in front of clients and being more of a consultant.
Yeah,
Being digital first means that we can do that, and we really can do it. It's not uh, superficial. We that
yeah,
so I suppose that yeah, and that's a huge given that we are the sum of our people. That's a huge benefit of being digital first,
yeah.
on top of everything I'd already talked about.
Well, absolutely. I think this slide's really just us having a little think about what we've talked about today, isn't it? We're kind of tying it together. So, there's lots of bits you've said in terms of like time savings. Of course, time seems to be the thing that always comes top of the list when I ask any firms what would they need more of or what would they like more of. It always seems to be time.
Yeah.
And you've touched on some really great stuff over the hour. You've been able to sort of attract the right talent and keep them because you're digital first.
Mhm.
Um, you're able to cast the net wider when you're hiring. You've
Mhm.
learned new services that you could be offering. So you're offering a lot more services than
Mhm.
you originally were from being digital first.
Yeah.
There's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah,
When you
there is
kind of,
a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
So I think, and even for those people that aren't interested in going on to do these additional services, because not everyone is, and not everyone's
yeah,
clients going to want to do all these extra services, there is still the huge benefit of just being more efficient. And being more efficient means more, like, you're more profitable because you take
well,
less
yeah,
time to do stuff. So you're
yeah,
more profitable, and maybe like you can work a few less hours and take some pressure off
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah. And even what you were saying there about like your, defining or documenting your processes, right? Now that you've got that time, that's
Mm,
maybe something you couldn't have done before, or it wouldn't
yes.
have been high enough on the list for you to devote the hours that you had to it. So
Yeah.
things like that, they may not have like a direct effect on your bottom line, I suppose. But I
No,
imagine
but
they do
they
have,
do have an effect on the value of your business. And if you're an
yeah,
accountant building a business and at some point you want to exit it and sell it,
yeah,
all
yeah,
those things are really good things to have in place. If you're a digital firm, you're gonna you're gonna get more when you want to come to sell your business. If you've got
yeah,
playbooks and documented processes, your business is going to be worth more. Um, it's going to be more efficient and it's going to be worth more. So there's always a benefit for this. I cannot see a downside for being digital. The only client that is no longer a client, the only client that had a concern with us being digital first was someone that felt frustrated she couldn't do her bookkeeping while she was flying, because she did a lot of flying and she felt she couldn't keep her bookkeeping up to date in the air.
Well, that's no longer a problem now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
And
I'm sure I've been on a flight where they said there was complimentary Wi-Fi now. So
yeah, even that wouldn't be a barrier now. And that's like such a small, like that is literally the only barrier I've heard to being digital. It's all, in my mind, all positives.
it's all positives.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I think that's probably a good line to finish on. So it's all positives. So I guess that kind of brings us to the end of our conversation about what we maybe wanted to cover just in terms of time. And I want to leave a bit of time for like questions and things like that. But of course, so you've chatted to us about your app stack in its entirety, and how that's kind of helped your business and your vision of being like 100% digital. Of course, we focused a little bit on Go Proposal. So if we go across to here, and you talked in detail about, well, here it says here, engagement letters, about sort of implementing that and how it's helped your business. Yeah. So I guess this is one to the audience. If that's kind of inspired you to kind of look into Go Proposal in a bit more detail, then please let us know. I think we've got another poll. So if you'd like a demo of the product, or you'd like us to reach out to you to kind of set up a demo of that product, then just let us know, and one of the team can absolutely set that up and give you a look at that product, and you'll be able to see for yourself if you'll get the similar kind of benefits that Pam and her team got from that product. Well, we'll just wrap up a little bit. So I'll just say thank you very much to everyone that has joined. I hope the conversation that we had has been useful and given you some insights into like your digital journey and where you can kind of go next. Of course, thank you to you, Pam, for your time. It's been very valuable and just an enjoyable conversation for me, really, to kind of chat with you and hear your story.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Thank you for having me on.
No worries at all. Right, we'll wrap there.
All right, cheers. Thank you.